Hello and welcome back to our another lecture of learning how to create mobile applications using Flutter. In today's lecture, we're going to resume from where we had stopped at in the previous classes. And you remember in the previous classes, we had already covered a lot of things, around 14 different topics. So today we're going to resume and we're going to take 60 minutes in this class. As you can see, these are the things that we had covered in previous classes of Flutter. So if this is your first time here, I recommend you to find the playlist link in the description of this video and then start learning from the first video. But if you're already somewhere in Flutter, still no problem. You can take it from here. So we always put our data or our source code into what? On GitHub repository. So if you want this copy of source code, just simply come to my repository, which you can find on GitHub. I'll share the link in the description. You can be able to clone everything that I have done here, and you have exemplary of each source code. So without wasting much time, I'm going to proceed from how we stopped at. Last time we stopped at the JSON file and how you can get the JSON, all those things. So today we are going to proceed from there, and we are going to see how we can do what? How we can use the local database. Using local database on the mobile application is very, very important. So we're going to look at how we can get started with local database and why we need it and how we use it. So with that brief introduction, we are going to start counting our timer. You can see it has already started counting. So I'm going to go straight into business and start programming. I don't know whether the light mode is the better one or if you can see things still in dark mode. I don't know, maybe from your feedback, I'll see which one is preferable for you. So let me increase my font here so you can see things much more clearly. And come here to settings, come here to appearance, and then I'll increase the font size maybe to 18. And I think now that is the font size of then I'll come also the font size of the source code and maybe increase it maybe to 20. Yeah, hope now you can see things much more clearly. So dark mode, the better. Okay, maybe for you. I also found it better for me. I've been a light mode guy, but until I realized dark mode can do better. So from other guys, we can also hear from them which one is much more better. So let's go straight into business. And as you can see, so we start, right? Let's start. Yeah. So why do you need local storage? Sometimes, the data that we always use is HTTP from internet, and it is stateless. So we may need to store some information on local storage that next time we want to collect data from internet, we identify ourselves using tokens, using token. So this logic in mobile applications of cookies or sessions is not provided. So you have to write your own logic to see that you are able to store the data on your storage. Also, most of times these days, users don't have that time to wait. So it would be very good thing that in case a user is accessing information, you are able to save it on his mobile phone, so that next time you want to access it, you just give him the copy that is on the mobile phone, other than again making them to wait for the request to go on the server and do what? And load it. So it is very, very, very smart move. As you can see, almost in all applications right now, they save the data on the mobile phone, and then they be updating that data in background, but while you're showing the user data that has been loaded on the what? On the mobile phone. For example, WhatsApp, even if you're offline, you're able to see your messages, even if you're in flight mode. So does it mean that those messages were loaded from the internet or from the online server, Of course, no. They load those messages from background and they save it on your what? On your phone. Then they be showing those messages that are coming from your phone. But why the logic is, they go to the internet, they get those messages, they save them on the phone, then they display you, they give you a copy that's on the phone. So in case there's a new update from internet, they go to that, they get that update and they update the local version. So that's how WhatsApp works. That's how Facebook works. That's how many applications that you see today work. They save the data on your device. So in case you're offline, still you can be able to do what? To access your data. That's what we call offline capability. So I hope you're getting the reason why we need to know how to use the local storage, because users these days, they don't have that time to waste. To wait. Should the application show loading every time you go to fetch the data to internet from internet, then users will abandon your application. So that's why the local storage is very, very, very important. So in today's class, I'm going to introduce you to local storages that we use in Flutter so that you can pick your own and also get started with the one that I'm going to show you today. So we have different local storages on Flutter, but so we have, let me go to internet here. So we have the first one, which will store information in form of a key and a value. We call those ones preferences. So you can search a package. In fact, they come in form of packages because the Flutter framework has to be very light, so they don't include those things there, because some people will not want it. So Flutter, they include only basic things like buttons, containers, but these things like storage or what, you have to add an extra package because some people may not need it. So they don't ship it with Flutter. So the first one, we have the one which will store your data in form of a key and a value. Okay, so you can call it shared preferences. Shared preferences, So Flutter. So this one is just a simple local storage, okay? And the package is here, this first package. So it is just a simple storage. It will just store a value and a key, a value and a key. So you cannot perform some kind of SQL or extended filtering. So it will store, for example, just a storeable string. To store inside this string, it will store this data. So that next time you open your application, you can access that string. So this package is very simple. You can come and teach it yourself at any time. It will just, the point is to store your data in form of a name and a value, a name and a value. And then later when you open application again, you'll be able to retrieve that name and value later. You can also store even a list of strings. So that is it's very simple package in case you don't want to do a lot of logic, a lot of what. We just maybe want to log in a user, only logging in and being able to know which user is logged in at this moment. You can use this one. You can. It is very simple, very popular. You can come and even teach it to yourself. It's called shared preferences. So it is just a key value what? A key value database. It will store for you the key, and so it is supported on Android, on Linux, on web, and Windows. So in your free time, come and teach yourself this one. It is very important sometimes when you don't want very complex complex database. So another one, it is called Flutter Hive. So Flutter Hive like this. It's also a package, but this one is also a kind of extended database. You don't write SQL to access it. So this one, for it, you will store complex things. You will store an object. You will store a JSON object. You will store there a list of things. So this one is a little bit complex. It's kind of more of what? Database. So this one can be used when you're dealing with what? With much more data. But I've used this one. It works, but for me, it kind of gave me some limitation since you cannot write SQL. Okay, but so I'll not start with this one, but I'm going to show you another one that is favorite for me now, and it is working for me very, very more perfectly. So It means that if the other one that I'm going to show you doesn't work for you, you can come and teach yourself this one, since I'll have given you the reason why you need the local database. But also still in your free time, you can still come and teach yourself this one. It's called Flutter Hive. It's called Hive, okay? Just you can search Hive package. It is very popular and I've been using it, okay? So the examples are here, how you can install it, and they have a very good documentation here. When you click here, they'll show you step by step. Though for me, I found it so much complicated and complex, okay? So that's the second one. But this one is what? Is when you're dealing with bigger data. This one is just when you're dealing with the key and value. Okay. This one is when you're dealing with what? With complex data. Maybe you want to store a list of JSON, etc. So that is called Flutter Hive. So we have another one. Another one is called SQLite. SQLite. It is motivated by SQLite. It is motivated by SQLite, and it uses what? SQLite. So in simple terms, SQLite is a database engine written in C programming language. It is not a standalone application, rather it's a library and a software embedded in there in apps such as. So this, in simple terms, SQLite is a database, like the way you can see MySQL database and the rest, is a database that is embedded into the mobile applications. I mean, system, like different operating systems such as Android, iOS, and the Windows. So Windows and iOS and Android, they come with a default database called what? SQLite. So SQLite, it comes by default in your phone, and you can use it to perform some simple SQLs, such as creating a table, inserting something in the table, writing some simple SQL with where conditions, and also deleting. You cannot do, of course, so many complicated SQL fields, but it can give you basics of CRUD, whereby you can do some simple querying on the mobile phone. Okay, so instead of having that online database stored on the phone, you can use it. Stored on the phone, that is on the server. You can use that one of the mobile phone. So in simple terms, like the way you see my SQL, there you see Oracle. So SQLite is also like that one, but on mobile phone. Okay, so it is a database that comes with the mobile phone. So to access it using in Flutter, you need a certain package that will give you ability to act as an interface between what your program or your application with that real SQLite. So this is the one that we're going to use SQLite. So in Flutter, it's called SQFlite. SQFlite. I think that's how you can pronounce it. So go ahead and search SQFlite and then click on it, and then you'll see its introduction here. A very popular package, 100% publication, maximum points, and a lot of likes. Okay, so it is very good database. Okay, so it's the one that we're going to start with. So it supports Android, iOS, and macOS. It does not support web. So in case you want to, also this is also another thing, the factor that you may need to consider. So in case you want to do an application that will be supporting web, a Flutter application that will publish for web or will publish for Windows operating system, so I would not recommend SQLite because it does not support those devices. It does not support those platforms. If you want to publish also for web, the same application want to publish it for Windows, then I recommend SQL Hive. You can see SQL Hive. For it, you can use it on Windows, you can use it on web, you can use it on Mac OS. It can work on Mac OS, it can work on Linux, it can work on iOS, it can work on Android. So it cuts across. So if you want to make for iOS, you better use what? SQL Hive. Flutter Hive. So If you want to default for Android only and iOS, then you better use Flutter. So if you want your application to run on web, so still I recommend, according to your preferences, I want your application or making it for, but I'll recommend Flutter, SQLite, SQLite, right? SQLite. Why? Because unless you're going to work for Windows, unless you want to make for Windows, then you can go for what? For Flutter Hive. But in case you want to make just for iOS and macOS and Android, then SQLite is favorite for you. So with that much said, let's get started. So the first thing you can come here and read this documentation step by step. But for me, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take you to the main points. I'll not grid word by word. Okay, so that's why you're here, so that I can take you in the path without going so far. But I would recommend in your free time, come and read this step by step so you can understand even what I'll not be able to cover in this lecture. So let's start. I'm going to start by creating what? I'm going to start by creating by installing the package. So to install the package, click on installing. They'll show you the steps. You can either run this command in the folder of your project, or you can add this in the dependencies. Okay, in your dependencies. So what I'm going to do for me, I'm going to run this in the folder of my project. Okay, so that I can do what? I can add this package. So those are the two ways you can do what? You can add this Flutter, SQLite in your project. So let me go ahead and run this and copy this. So I'll come to my project. It is here, and then I will go ahead and do what? So I'll go ahead and run this piece of line into my project. So I'll come here and click on terminal, and then I'll paste that link here. Or the other way around, you can simply come to your pubspec.yaml and then come and add that package where, come and add that package here. Okay, so let me go ahead and run it. So I'll click here and paste the link there. So in the terminal, and I press enter. So to process, and then it has successfully installed. So if I come to my pubspec.yaml, I should be able to do what? I should be able to see this package here. So the package is here, it has been added. So you can other way, copy this and manually paste it there and run pubget. So through that way, I have done what? I've successfully installed Flutter package. I mean SQLite into my what? Into my project. Those are the two simple steps that you can do what you can use to install SQLite. So the first thing, we are going to begin by creating a database and then also inserting something into the database. Okay, so let's go ahead and run our application so you can have that screen here, and then you create a screen for what? For creating the package. So that's our mobile app. You can see it is there. So that's our mobile application, right? So the next thing is now we're going to create here. If you want to get this source code, I'll put the link in the description so you can get exactly where I am right now. So the next thing I'm going to now put here, a screen for creating a what? Creating a table and inserting their data. Okay, so maybe you can say create. So I'll go ahead and collapse everything here, and then come to our files, then come to lib, then come to screens. I'm going to create another screen here that we're going to use for what? For creating that. So let me create a special folder for what? For local database. So I'll come here and say new directory. What did I do? Right click new and then say directory here. And I'm going to call this one SQLite. Okay. Or I can say local DB. How can I name it? Local DB. Or I can call it database. Let me call it database. So this is where I'm going to be saving my screens of database. So let's go ahead and copy one screen here that can be important to us, and then we based on that one to create. Let me copy this screen because I see it already have some fields, and then it's the one that we're going to based on. So I already have it's called form fields, form other fields. This is form decoration. Let me copy this one, form other fields. I'll copy this, and then I'm going to paste it here in this directory. I'm going to call it database create, database create screen. Okay, so there it is, and it is here. So I'm going to do what? To paste. There we go. You know what I've done? I've just selected each word, press Alt and Enter, and replace the what? The name. Okay. So that's it. So I'm going to change the title to table create. Is it table create or database create? Database create table. I don't know. Create table. Okay. So in this, we're going to learn how a table can do what? Can be created. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to add this screen in front here so that if someone clicks, it should be taken to that screen. I think I'm going to put it on top so that we don't scroll bottom. I don't know. Should I put on top? Let me put on bottom since that's the order that we've been following. So let's go ahead and add it there. So I'll come here to my main. Okay, this is the main. So I'm going to come here to bottom and add create table. Okay, so I'll duplicate this guy and come and add here DB. So everything that's about database, I can call DB table create. Okay, so this is the one that you're going to do what? To create the table. So you can put a relevant relevant icon. Yeah, you can put here some description. So then we come and change here the navigation. If someone clicks on this one, it should be taken to this screen. Press Alt and Enter like that. So if I save, now it should be in the bottom here. You see, there it is. So if I click here, I'm taken to this screen. Okay. So that's it. Now let's go ahead and now look at the logic of creating database, of creating a table. So I'm going to put here just my simple button here in the bottom. So this is our screen. I'm going to come here in the bottom and put some button, just a simple button for creating table. Let me remove this guy and come and put here a button to create table. I think Flutter wizard called raised what? Raised button? How do you call it? The buttons in Flutter. I even forget the name of Flutter button. How do you create buttons in Flutter? I always use equal, and I have some package that I always use.
I don't know how to get in.
It's called elevated, elevated button. So I press Alt and Enter, so it can. So we have on pressed. So you will put your function for on pressed, and then we'll have a child, which is going to be text, and you can call this one create table. So if I save, our button is there. So if you click here, it should create a table. Okay, create a table. So it is better to organize your data in form of models. As I told you, you always organize your data in form of what? In form of models. Let us say that we want to create our simple system where I'll be saving the movies that you have watched. So if you watch a movie, you come and save it. If you watch a movie, you come and what? You come and save it. So later you can be able to do what? To access them. So let's say that's what you want to do, the system. For example, if you a person of movies, sometimes you can have so many movies, but after like 3 years, you don't know which movies you have watched and which one you have not used. So before you download a movie, you may want to first check, have I watched this movie already or not? Or maybe which movie was good for me so I can watch again or not. Something like that. So you want to create a simple system where you can see the movies that you have ever watched and which one, how favorite were they, how good were they, so you can access them later. So before you download another movie, you first check if this movie is already in your library. So it means that we're going to create a model that is going to handle the what? The movies, or that's going to work on the movies. And in that model, this is why we're going to have all this logic of what? Of creating the data, of creating its relevant table, etc. So let's go ahead and create a special package, a special folder for models. So I'll come to my project. As I told you, you always organize your what? Your project. So I already created a folder for what? For models. It's already there. Okay. So I'm going to create a new model of what? Of a movie. So right click here and say new file. Okay. So I'm going to call it movie model.dat. Okay. So there it is. So I'll create a class. For this movie model, I'll just simply say class movie.dat and movie model that model. Is that correct spelling of model? Why am I being going? Saying what? Typo. Is that correct spelling of model? Hope it's okay. So is it? Wait. Model is supposed, the E is supposed to be at last, Yeah. The L. It's better to write correct spelling here. So there we go. I've renamed. I'll come here and change this guy to name. Okay. So our movie model is there. So let us define the properties that we need to our movie models. So our movie models may have an integer of ID. Okay. Another thing, so this ID by default can always be 0, and or we can create a what? A constructor for it. Okay, we can create a constructor for this movie model. Yeah, I don't know. It can either create constructors or you can put default values. It's up to you. Let's put default values. By default is 0. Let's make constructors, since it will be required. So we'll have a movie model. IDs will be required. So the next thing, let's make it 0. I don't know. How should it? Let us make it 0. We'll be auto incrementing. So we'll have the model. Then the next thing is after the ID, maybe you'll have the title. So this title will be a string of title. So you can have maybe movie cover photo. You can have the actor, whatever. Let me put maybe actor, and do you call them category or genre? Category. Yeah, so I think that's enough. And maybe some details. I'm just showing you how to perform one. Perform some simple code. Maybe you can put also a double of rating. I mean integer of what? Of rating. So this can be enough for you to get started and understand local what? Local databases. So that is how you're going to do what? To create a model. So this is the model that will be handling all the logic of what? All the logic of a movie, right? So we want to create now the logic of, in case we want to save this database. I mean, in case we want to save this movie on our local database, what should we do? So to do that, uh, to do that, you're going to create a function that will be first creating a table. You know, before you save something, you first create a space where you'll save it. So you'll have to first create a table before you save something inside that table. So let us create a logic that will be responsible for creating the table. So it's going to be just a simple function. I can call it table create, like this, and like this. Okay, so this one will be purposely for what? For creating a table. So sometimes you may need to define your things that you should not repeat yourself. So I'm going to put here a final static called table name. So this one always contain a static file. It's supposed to be static final, right? Static first. So this one is going to contain the name static string, is it? The name of a what? The table. Why is it warning? Yeah, better put constant here. So table name. What are they do suggesting? Like this. Let me just make it. Okay, so this is going to be the table what? The table name of this what? Of this. So that we make sure that it is not changeable. So I can call it movies. So I'll be referencing it when we want to access the what? The movies. So now after that, now we're going to create a what? A table. So to create a table in Flutter, Flutter you'll be referencing, of course, documentation. Come to documentation, come and see create table. It is here just on the home page, readme. Okay, so search create table. So create table, this is how we do it. We create table. So I'm just going to copy this piece of code and then I do what? I create a table. So before you create a table, you first need to define the path of the what? Of your project. Okay? You have to first define the path of your what? Of your database, where your database should be saved in local database. So you can simply come and copy this and then come and paste it here. So come and press Alt and enter. So this can be changed to what? Wait. So this is called variable. So a path of database is where you want your database to be what? To be saved. So right, this press Alt and enter. Is it join? No, you don't need that join. Just put this one. Just as simple as that. Database path. You can just create your own path, okay? So this is a path where our database will be saved. So we better have a file of constants, or where you'll be referencing your what? Your constants, because some things you need to have them constantly so that you make sure they are not changeable. So let me create here a file called my constants, and I'll be saving there my constant files only. I mean my constant strings. Okay, so I'm going here, create a file here called maybe my constants, like the application name, the API link, etc. Dot that. Can I do something like this? Let me see. And I can just simply come and copy this guy, paste it here, and maybe database path. Enter. Just need to have it a class. I can call it application configuration. Okay, and then I put this constant, and I'm going to create the first constant. I'm going to call it what? Database path. I mean, I can call it database. I can say local db path. Why am I doing like this? Because I want to make sure this thing is not what? Is not changeable. So this one I can call it maybe uh, uh, the application name. Maybe we have to make sure that it does not look like another thing. Flutter. You can call it just maybe your application. My app name. Okay. So that is the name of what? Of our database. Okay. So make sure that it is not changeable. That's why I am defining it as constant here. So if I want to create a database, I'll have to first define the path. So, our path is now inside this class of what? Inside this class of app config. So this is where we'll be. I already have it. My constants. I think I already have it somewhere. Okay. So I'm smart. I already have it. I can delete this guy. I can delete this guy called my constants. We already have this class called app config here. So we'll have our constants there. So I'm going to call localDB here. So instead of writing here manually like a string here, now how about next time? So you should be sure. So I'll put app config and then reference to the other constant config dot localDB. So this is the constant I'm creating. So this is deleting. Yeah. So delete path. This is our get path db. Let's say open. Yeah, it is. You get it like this. So come on to this, and you see the name of your db should be .db. So I have to put here .db like this. Okay, so I have to make sure it is .db, the name of your database. So it's going to be, I remove this guy and come and make this one variable db equals await, and then I put here open database, and then I put here my constant name. Okay, constant app.localconfig, then constant. So this is how I open the database. Just say open database and then put await. Okay, so the database will come here. So after, you'll have to check if your database was successfully opened or not. Okay, so before you create database, you have to check at least if it was open or not. So check if it was open or not. You just simply say if db is open. Okay, so I'll check if it's not open, then I'll not proceed from here. You can maybe send a warning, create some kind of toast. I think we already created that function that can do some toast. Yes, you see, we already have this function. Okay, so it is inside utils if you've been following. So I can make here some simple toast and say utils dot what? Dot toast. I can say failed to open database. So I'll not proceed from here and I return. So maybe you can report this one as a what? As a bug. Okay. So if it passes there, I know it successfully opened the what? The database. So the next thing I'll have to create now the what? The table. Okay. So let me search here. The logic of creating table. Create table. It is here. This is how we create a table. So I'll copy it and explain it. So copy this piece of code, come here, and I'm going to explain it one by one. So I'll collapse this guy. So this is how we create a table. You just simply say, so I already have the database. I've already opened the database. Database equals await path. No, I've already opened the database. So this is how you can create maybe the database with versions. Okay, I can as well create open it from here. So db equals database equals await open database. So I make sure that our databases are opened. Yeah, this one can also work and create the create database. I don't want this method. I don't do it like that. But this is the in case you want to create your database at once, you can use this method. So you can store your database in form of what? In form of versions. Okay, so this one, in case you have some migrations, you can always create your tables once. So I'm not going to use this method. I'm just going to use a simple one, a simple method. So to create a database, you just simply say await the database that you open, which is DB, and then say dot execute. So dot execute, you put there your SQL of creating a what? Create a database. Okay. So let us write our SQL. It's going to say create table, and then you put here the table name. So the table name will have, it's already defined here. So I'll put here $. So I say movie dot table name. Sub should be surrounded with what? With bracket. Like this. Movie model dot table name. So this table name will be substituted here. So that will help me not to make mistakes of changing the words. So then you open bracket and start doing what? And start putting the values there. So it's going to be create. Let me write as one word so you cannot confuse you. So start creating the values. So ID is going to be integer and primary key. So if you want it to auto increment, you can simply add there auto increment. So just come and search here. You have auto increment. So you put, this is how you put auto increment. So if I want this ID to be auto incremented, I just add there auto increment. So every time you add a movie, the database will have to figure a new ID for it, other than us to do that logic of what? Of creating a new ID. So it will automatically increment the ID. So the next thing is the title. So I'll change this guy to title. So title in small letters. So this is our, where we'll save the title. So it will be what? A text. So that the next database, the next data type. The first data type is integer text, and then new. So that is another data type. So comma, and then it will be text. So another data type is going to be actor, is also going to be a text. So I'll say actor and then say text in capital letters, text. Another one is category, is also going to be what? A simple text. Category and then say text, like this. So that is our simple SQL for creating a table. Integer, text. So that is the one for creating table. So I hope we are together here. I hope you're not confused. This is a simple SQL of creating table. Create table, table name, then put ID integer, primary key, auto increment, comma, title is a text. If you want it to be even nullable, you can just simply put here. By default, it is nullable. And then if actor is a text, and then category is a text. So if you want to add more fields, you can as well do what? You can as well add them. So you can put this one in try and catch. In case it fails, you can see the error. So you can put here catch, and then put here exception, and then put here and print here failed to create table because, and then you put here the the reason, okay, maybe dot to string. So there I can know why the table was not created. So on top here, you can put, if it reaches here, of course, you know success, okay? Table created successfully. Table created successfully. Okay, so that is how you create what? That's how you create table. Okay, that's how you create table. So that's it. That's it. So you can close database, but that's not necessary. So let's go ahead and create the table. So you have to link this logic to this button. When you click here, this should be executed. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'll just simply come and create an instance of this movie model into our screen here. So I'll come to our database create screen and then put here the logic of creating a movie table. So I'll come here and say create movie table, or I can say create new movie. Create movie table, just like this. Okay, so I can create here a simple method that's going to handle that. So I can just simply press Alt and Enter, so that when I create this, it is called. Oh, there are so many ways you can do that. You can as well create just an instance of a movie model. Let us create an instance of a movie model. Okay, so just come on top and say movie model. Press Alt and Enter so it can be imported, and say my movie, my movie, okay, equals to new movie. So if it's not included, just press Alt and Enter to be imported. Okay, so I can remove this new movie. Sorry. So that is our movie object. So I want, when I click here, it should call the create table inside this movie. So what we do, we come here on the press here, and then put, when you click, it should just say create what? Create table. You see, I hope that is straightforward, right? Hope that is straightforward. So now I save. After saving, now let's go ahead and open our terminal, which is here. Clean everything. Okay, now let us click, tap. Beautiful. Table created successfully. So it means that our table has been created successfully. Let us click again. Failed. So it has failed to create a table. Why? Because this table already exists. So you cannot create a table of same name same 2 times. So that's why I see this fail. Okay, so that's beautiful. So you have to put a logic that will make sure that the table is created 1 time. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. You can just simply come and say SQLite if create table if not exist. Okay, so come here to Stack Overflow, you'll see solution for that. So you want to write that line in case the table does not exist. You do what? You do what? You create it. So this is how it works. You add that piece of line here, just if not exist. So all that is comes with experience. Okay. So I want to make sure that this line is only executed if the table does not exist. So I'll come to the method, press Ctrl and click on it, and then I'll add it here. Where is it? Before the table name, right? So before the table name. So it will be like create table if not exist. So it will not throw what? The error. So I run here and then I click on create table. You see, it's not throwing the error. So the table is already created successfully. So it will ignore if the table already already exists. That is a cleaner way, or a better way to create a table if it does not exist. So that is so beautiful. We can now create a table on our on our local phone. So they can even 20 tables, 30 tables. So even though some user is offline, you're able to show them something on their phones. That is so beautiful. You can write a lot of things, you can do a lot of good things with it. It's really beautiful. So with that done, we proceed to what? To inserting data into the table, right? So I'm going to duplicate this same page, and I'm going to create another page for what? For inserting data. Okay, insert data. So I'll just simply come to this guy, and then I will come here. Sorry. Here, this one, database create, and I'm going to duplicate it. Okay, I'm going to duplicate it so I can have the one for inserting. Create table. So I'll copy this and paste, and I'm going to call it database insert. So that's our second screen. Okay, so database insert. I'll come and select everything here and paste the class name, and then maybe you can call this one insert data into tables. Okay, into SQLite table, whatever. Okay, so let's go ahead and add this one to our main screen here. Okay, so I'll come to our main. Okay, so I'll come and duplicate this last line. Okay, and then come to our DB. This is title. So I'll call this one DB. Insert data into table. How to save data locally. So that's okay. That's beautiful. So I'll come and change this one to. I'll press Alt and Enter. So that is so beautiful, right? So now that's okay. So let's go ahead. It is let us put a relevant icon. Maybe put something. Create. Beautiful. Yeah, it's nice. So if you click here, we are here. Okay, that's so beautiful. Okay, so now let us put here the movie title. Let us put the movie information that you want. So create name. So I will come here. I'll come on this screen of insert. So let us put the parameter, the field that you want. So you want the movie title, the movie actor, and the category. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing it will be title. I can call this guy movie title. You can put a relevant icon if you want an icon, or you can remove. I don't know. Whether that's okay. Okay, movie title. So the name will be movie title. Okay, so the next thing is going to be movie what? You can put validation, etc. The next thing is going to be movie movie actor, movie category. Let us first begin movie actor. Movie actor. So put here icon of user, person. As come for movie actor, remove this read only so it can be editable, and then maybe okay, movie actor. This movie it. Okay, so the last thing is the category. So the category can do drop down. Had you done that thing of drop down before? Let me see. Drop down. Not yet. So come and search Flutter form. Okay, just search form builder. You don't need to memorize all these things, eh? So come and search the drop. Just all you need is to know that they exist. That's all you need. The rest, once you go to real world, there's no cheating that in exam. What you can do anything you want. Okay, so don't stress. Just know things that exist. Next time you want, just come and copy paste modify. So that's it. So I'll come and duplicate this guy here. This is a drop down. You remember we're using form builder, if you still remember. So the initial value, I'll remove it. The initial value can put none, so I'll remove the initial value. So the label is going to be what? It's going to be what? It's going to be category or movie genre. What's going to be suffix button? I don't need it, right? I don't need suffix button. I just need maybe the decoration. Copy the same decoration so it can be consistent. So I'll come and paste here my decoration. So it's going to be movie category. So a lot of warnings. So come and put here movie categories list. So it's going to be a list of movie categories. Really, you can have just a list of string like this one, like this guy, like this one. Okay, a list of strings. So I can come and put also inside here my constants movie categories. So I can come to my constants so that they should not change every time. So come to app config, yes, and define a static list of movie categories. So I can call it movie categories like this, and then I put maybe action, so this is our simple list of movie categories. Put action, put drama, put sci-fi, yeah? Sci-fi. That's how I don't know. Put put what? Put sci-fi. Put love story. Put fiction. Put comedy. Put maybe TV series. Then lastly, can put maybe anime. Yeah, like this. So I'm going to reference this into our list there. So I'll come here and put app config dot what dot movie categories. I press Alt and Enter to import this guy. So if I save, I hope that's beautiful child. What is this? Drop down. Okay, so you can change here maybe name, and then can be name here. The value can be name. I don't know, whatever. So save. Yeah, we have the categories. Let's put red icon for category. Beautiful. So there we go. So those are enough. So I can put here the movie title. I put here the movie actor. I select the category and say save. So save movie, save movie. So we can write a logic of saving a movie. Before we save, maybe we can do some simple what? Some simple validation. Yeah, something like that. Or you can do even the validation here. But the good practice, you can write a special function for saving the movie. Okay, so let us write it anyway. Practicing good practice. So maybe I can write here save movie. Save movie. So we see if the title is okay before I do it. So I'll press Alt and Enter. Create method, Alt and Enter. So here it is. How did this toast reach here? Let's remove this guy. We don't need to. So save movie, right? So here maybe do some validation. I check if movie title is maybe dot length is less than 3. There is no movie which has less than 3 letters. So I can do some toast utils dot what dot toast and say utils dot. I already had this. Utils dot toast. Enter correct movie title, and then I return here so I don't proceed. So go ahead and validate for the title and validate what? Validate what next? We validate the title, we validate the actor, just some simple validation. You can run some more validation, validate what? Validate category, like that. so you can have some more cleaner data. I'm just showing you how you can validate things better. So here you go ahead and save, okay, and save the movie. So now remember we have not collected these fields, so I'm going to show you a better way of how you can collect. So you may need to collect the data each time the person is entering. When someone is typing, you collect the data. When someone is typing, you collect the data. So to do that, you have to add here one more function, which we call on change. Okay, so when the letters are changing, you collect that data. So to do that, I'll come here to my first one, which is title. Okay, so in this field, I'm going to add on change. So it's going to be a method that will give me a value that has been changed. Okay, so I can call it S, I can call anything. So I want every time someone types, I collect the data and I save it. I put it in this item of movie, right? So I'll just simply say on change and then say put title equals to x dot what dot to string. So it will automatically help collect this title every time someone types it. So this one will help us not again to come and collect the data physically, what, though there is a way how you can collect data, but that will help us to get the information on fly. So so every time person changes here, we are getting the information. Okay, let me prove to you that the time is over, but I can do it very fast. Let me come here in title. Let me come here and show you something. So I can come here and I put movie title there. Okay. Why is it crying? Oh, it's constant. Movie title there. So I'll come and put here. Every time it changes, I save and update status. Set status. So if I save, now you see what's going to happen. If I come here and put Apple, you see the title is also changing. So it means that I'm collecting the information on fly. Apple Calypto. Apple Calypto. You see the information is changing. So that is the whole point. You can collect the information on fly like this. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that for the rest. So I'm going to add the same on the actor. So I'll put it on actor change. I collect the what? The actor. And come here on, so this one called gender. It's called category, but it doesn't matter. So on category change, this one say category. That's beautiful, right? Then later validate. So I put here time to save, right? I can put here time to save movie. Okay. Can put maybe saving here, like I toast and say saving. So I put save movie, you see, enter actor. So since this one is an error, remember we had already put something like you can even pass more parameters to change the color type. So you see, when I click there, saving movie. Okay. I hope that's the background color. Colors dot red. Remember what the way we designed that toast. Okay. You can change the background color through here, but it's optional. So these warnings, I want them to show red color. So when I click on save, you see it is red color. So the person knows something's not right. So now let us enter what is the problem. Enter actor name. Maybe John Rumble. Our time is up, but I'm concluding. I'm finishing. John something like this. Okay. So it is action packed. Then I save. See, time to save. So now let us do the logic of saving, and then we call it a day. So to save the movie locally, no, I promised you 60 minutes. So that makes the end of our today's class. So in the next class, we'll have to begin from there. We are going to now save the movie and also do the remaining things, listing the movie, checking if the movie exists, all that kamumbuluze. We'll do it in the next class, as we are also practicing the good practices of programming. What the hell? I was not recording? No, I was recording. So that's it